So let's talk this year free agency. And I specifically, I want to talk about these four names. But let's just go through, one by one. Now this first guy I want to mention, um, won the NL Cy Young this year, rightfully so. But I also want to talk about how he hasn't been the most. If you want to look at his overall, statistics, since he's been in the majors, um, he hasn't been the most consistent pitcher. We're talking Trevor Bauer, if you haven't caught on by now. He
Mm-hmm.
had like a 4.48 ERA in 2019, and then this year, 11 starts, he has an ERA under 2. Now, he's obviously a better pitcher now, but do you think that Trevor Bauer really is this good, and he's really gonna, get his money and show that he deserves this big contract, or do you think he's kind of in the middle of what he was in 2019 and this year?
Well, I mean, I think he's shown flashes of this, maybe not to this degree before, and I think, I mean, I was definitely on the Bauer bandwagon from the beginning of the year, just because I just think his stuff is ridiculous. Just like when you watch it, and it was obviously for the most part of the year, it was very very crisp. Because I think like what was it? Like he either allowed 0 or 1 earned run, or just he allowed no more than 2 earned runs, like 7 times out of his 11 starts this past year. But the first thing that most of the people on Twitter will say is, well, he's playing in one of the weakest divisions in baseball this year, with like the NL Central. Well, NL Central wasn't weak, but also the AL Central. So like he got to like get healthy against like not so great hitting and stuff like that, which I like. I see it. I understand, but also there's still major league hitters. He still has to go out there and still has to perform, and he did. But in 20, if I'm remembering correctly, I think in 2018, I think he was an All Star, and I think he was in the running for AL Cy Young until I think maybe like it was like sometime in August or something like that. He ended up getting hurt in like one of the DL for or the IL for a little bit, and that kind of like ruined his chances for the most part. So like he kind of he showed flashes of it, and, like you said, each year is a learning experience. He's getting a little older, knows himself a little bit better, kind of knows how to attack hitters in a certain way, differently. Uh, use works with his own training, with his own analysis, and kind of knows how to attack people. Um, so I don't think necessarily he's at the level that he was at this year, because he'd have to do it, for 4 more months,
Right.
which is difficult for anyone to do. I mean, like kind of saying that you would expect someone to do that over a 6 month span is really unfair, and especially even if they did it 6 months for 6 months or an entire season the year before, to expect them to do it again is unfair. Just because it's hard to be a decent baseball player in the major leagues, let alone being an elite one. But I do think he's going to get a big payday. Who knows how big it's going to be? I do think he will show that it's worthwhile. Just because I feel like he's been around for a long time. I don't know exactly when he made his debut, but I feel like I've been hearing about him since I think he came up with the D-backs or something like that,
Yes.
like a million years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
he's been able to gain a lot of wisdom over the years, and now is at that time in his career where the wisdom and the talent intersects. So he's able to kind of put everything out onto the field while he's on the mound too. So I, I can't remember what trade rumors was predicting him to get, but I think it's probably around like 150 or something like that. I don't know if he'll get 150, just because there are so few teams out there that seem like they'd actually be willing to go that far. So like it would be kind of weird to bid against themselves, but he'll probably get some kind of 9 figure payday, which I think he'll probably earn over 4 or 5 year term.
Right. Yeah. And you also mentioned the wisdom. I mean, he's a very smart guy. He's very he looks at analytics, but he applies them in ways that I don't think a lot of. He's very. I feel like he's very ahead of his time. In the way he looks at analytics. Even just the way he. I don't know if you follow his YouTube channel. Just him.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Watching his stuff on YouTube, just watching his interviews. Follow him on social media. He's a very smart guy. And also, you mentioned, him pitching, against weak hitters, in recent years. But I mean, look what he did against Atlanta, one of the best offenses in the league. in the wild card. I mean, he absolutely
Mm-hmm.
shut them down, and it's unfortunate that he couldn't get any offense behind him against Atlanta in that game, because he gave them a really good chance to win. He was pitching lights out. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's a statement for you. He did it against, one of the best offenses in the league. So I think, but Bauer's only getting better, right? So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
all right. So what team do you expect? I got to ask too. What team do you expect Trevor Bauer to land with?
um, if I had to take a guess, and I'm going to probably sound like a homer for some of these, but my guess would probably be the Mets, just with the way I think things are trending with some of the other free agents that are on the market and whatnot. Um, because I mean, you mentioned his YouTube channel, after the initial press conference introducing Cohen and reintroducing Alderson, like he went on for like a 15-minute diatribe about how it was the best start ever to like a new ownership and things like that. And I think his agent said, it was somewhat recently, I read it maybe within the last few days, about how it's an intriguing type of situation for him. Alderson said he'd be a great personality in New York. So, I mean, my gut would be either the Mets or maybe the Angels could maybe kind of swoop in and kind of do something. But I mean, he'd be a fit in Boston, but I don't think that they're saying that they're not prioritizing pitching. He'd obviously be a fit back in Cincinnati, but from what we've seen the last few days, they're certainly cutting costs. So that's not going to work. I would have thought the White Sox too till this morning when I woke up and saw that they traded for Lance Lynn. So he's a fit for many people. Anyone could use a frontline starter, but I think from the perspective of being able to afford him and like urgent need, I think the top two would be the Mets and then maybe the Angels.
Okay, I mean, it would be, I'm just going outside of the division here. It would be fun, for Mike Trout to get some help there and get the best player in baseball back in the postseason. So nothing against the Mets, as much as I don't like the Mets. I'm rooting for him to go to LA now that you said it. But it would be fun for Mike Trout. We're rooting for Mike Trout to get some help as much as you love your Mets. Come on, we're rooting for Mike Trout, right?
Yeah, please. He needs to get a hit in the postseason. I don't think he's got one yet.
He doesn't.
It's criminal. I don't think. Maybe he's got one. Maybe he doesn't have any homers or something like that. But he's only played 3 games in like 8 or 9 years he's been in the league. It's criminal.